Hi everybody, welcome to Song Tripping. I'm Jim. I wanted to do an autumn-themed album today and do a quick, it's not even a review quite, it's just some impressions about this album, George Winston, Autumn, on Windham Hill. This was recorded in 1980, June 19th and 20th of 1980 is when George recorded it. Solo piano works on the famous Windham Hill label. And I love Windham Hill New Age music for this time of year. Autumn and winter seem to be like my favorite seasons to listen to Windham Hill, although I do listen to them all year round, but those seasons in particular, it just seems fitting. But anyway, the real point of this video is to do a shootout. So I've got the original LP and a CD copy, and I'll also talk a little bit about streaming, title streams. I have two versions that I've compared there, but the primary comparison is CD versus vinyl. Which sounds better? Let's find out. This isn't going to take long. To me, the vinyl copy was the clear outright winner, and I just thought the sound here was very warm. It was full-bodied, wide bandwidth, deep soundstage. You could really hear the long tail of the decay on the piano. I mean, on a lot of these songs, George Winston loves to ride the sustain pedal, and just all those colors and overtones of the piano and the attack of the hammers on the strings. Very articulate, but you could kind of like feel the felt hammers like hitting the strings. Like it's really rich, full-bodied, like a full-bodied wine, like just really, really lovely pressing. And for vinyl, dead quiet, dead quiet. There were a couple pops and ticks in here because I didn't clean it like super thoroughly, but like I'm certain those would clean up, like if I paid more attention to it, and they weren't even that distracting. So I didn't hear a noise floor on this copy at all. And I just love these Windham Hill pressings from the 80s, especially. You know, they come in these plastic sleeves. They are audiophile quality. They really are. And, you know, here's your label. It just, I won't say it blew the other version out of the water, but it was close to that. Now let's talk a little bit about the CD copy. This, I think, is just an original CD copy. I don't even know if it's dated. Let's see. It just says 1980, but I don't think CDs existed in 1980, so I'm not sure exactly when this came out. Here's the label. But anyway, this sounds fine. I listened to it this morning, and I tried to match volume levels between the LP and the CD. I played them through this Marantz Model 50 amp, which I've had, I think, a little over a year, or maybe not quite a year. I can't remember. But wonderful stereo amp. I've talked about it on the channel before, and things just sound great. Vinyl especially. Vinyl's being played on this Fluon turntable with the Ortophon Blue cartridge. And the vinyl LPs really come alive on that pairing of the turntable to the amp. Like a lot of the time, vinyl just sounds so rich and beautiful. And the only stuff that doesn't sound good are like bad vinyl, bad copies, beat up copies, poor pressings, that kind of thing. But you got audiophile grade quality vinyl here, and it really, really shows. Now, the CD was played on this Oppo CD player. It actually plays SACDs too, and DVDs. I don't use it for DVDs, but for CDs and SACDs. And this Oppo player was a nice upgrade over the old Sony deck, which I moved to a different room. But this CD, while it sounds, of course, it's even quieter than the vinyl, I just felt like the sound was thinner. The attacks, like, you know, they were very articulate, but they sounded kind of tacky to me compared to the attacks in the vinyl version. Like that was a sort of a warmer, more sweeter type of attack. I also felt like just the long tail of the sustains as they decay, like they just seem to decay faster on the digital copy compared to the vinyl. And a quick nod to the Tidal stream. So I streamed it on Tidal through my iFi Zen DAC, which you can't see, but it's right under here. And so they have two versions of this album on Tidal. One is just called Autumn, and then the other one, I think, is a 45th anniversary. And there's no details on the information to distinguish between the two. In fact, there's very few credits at all on the 45th anniversary re-release. And then, you know, a few details. So you do find out who mastered it. So it's Bernie Grundman who did the mastering on the digital. I'm assuming that they used the same master for the 45th anniversary reissue, or they would have told us. But if someone knows there's a difference to that, let me know in the comments. I tried to look it up on Discogs, but I didn't really get too far in sorting through that. But anyway, but this is where I made a discovery. So I thought there was a very distinct difference between vinyl versus CD, vinyl, CD, vinyl, CD. And lo and behold, I discovered, I think we've got different masterings here. So Bernie Grundman did the digital, even going back to the CD. He's credited on one of the Tidal streams. And by the way, I didn't really detect a huge difference between the CD and either of the Tidal streams. I didn't listen to the full album, but whatever differences there seemed negligible. They all seemed to be kind of based on the same source to my ear. But you have a very different presentation, I think, on the vinyl. Well, one reason why is because it's mastered by someone else. So we find out here in the liner notes that this was, engineers on this album were Harron Soper and Russell Bond Stars. But the original half-speed mastering was done by Stan Ricker at Mobile Fidelity Sound Lab. So this sounds to me like a MoFi pressing that Windham Hill used just for their standard release. I don't know, I'm going to have to research this, whether Mobile Fidelity did other Windham Hill vinyl from that era, because by and large, the vinyl quality on Windham Hill albums from the 80s is superb. It's just superb. These are audiophile records. The music's great too, but just the presentation, I don't know, the quality vinyl they use, the pressing, the mastering, half-speed mastering in this case, beautiful job by Stan Ricker on this. Pressings by RTI of Camarillo, California, and cover photography by Ron May, designed by Will Ackerman. I think he was the producer. Yes, he was the producer of this album too. So that's just some quick thoughts on Autumn. You have side one and side two are like suites. So side one, the suite is called September, and it consists of 3 pieces: Colors, Dance, Woods, and Longing Love. And then side two is October, and it has 4 pieces: Road, Moon, Sea, and Stars. Probably my favorite track on the album might be Woods. And that was the one I was doing like the most critical listening to and comparing the different versions. I did listen to the CD all the way through. And then, you know, obviously the vinyl last night I listened to. But Just beautiful piano work by George Winston, really in his prime, entering his prime. This was a pretty early album for him, I think. And yeah, contemplative, you know George Winston, contemplative music, meditative, pensive, and just, it's immersive. That is the big difference I found between the CD versus the vinyl. When we were listening to it on the vinyl last night, both me and my wife were entranced by it, to the point where you get in that like alpha state, or you might start falling asleep, but you're not really asleep. It was just, very meditative, beautiful, rich, lush piano. And I have to say, the Bernie Grundman master on digital didn't do that as much for me. And I'm not saying it's bad. It just can't really hold a candle to the vinyl. So I'd be curious what your thoughts are. If you're a Windham Hill fan, if you know things about these pressings, do you prefer the vinyl versions or the digital versions? You would think the digital would be preferred because Windham Hill music tends to be very quiet. So you're going to suffer from that noise floor that you get with turntables. But the quality of the pressings are so great that you almost don't notice that. And it adds the color, it adds the sort of full-throatedness that just makes things sing. Honey sweet, love it. So that's Autumn. Very great music for this time of year. If you don't have this album on vinyl or CD, why not stream it? I think you're going to like it. Let me know what you think of this album. And thanks for watching. And we'll talk to you again, I hope, very soon. Bye-bye.